You can proceed to step number 8. Install the CD-ROM or DVD drive.
In our previous step, I told you one way to install software into your computer was to install a floppy disk drive. But there's another way.
The CD-ROM or DVD drive. CD-ROM drives are currently more popular simply because the CD-ROM disks themselves, which stand for compact disc read-only memory, hold much more data than floppy disks. DVD, which stands for digital versatile disk, hold even more data. Let's take a look. Floppy disks hold 1.44 to 2 megabytes of data. CD-ROM disks hold 650 to 680 megabytes of data. DVD disks hold over 7 gigabytes of data.
As you can see, the differences are astounding. The other difference is that unlike floppy disks, which are magnetic and are read by magnetic heads, CD-ROM and DVD disks are optical and are unaffected by any stray magnetism. In fact, since the disks are read by a laser beam and make no physical contact with the player whatsoever, CD-ROM and DVD disks can last a lifetime if properly cared for.
There are two different types of CD-ROM drives: SCSI, which will need a SCSI interface card, and the more popular IDE drives. The IDE drives connect similar to your IDE hard disk drive, with the exception being the audio cable. Remove one of the faceplates on the computer case and slide the drive into the available bay. Connect the wider flat ribbon cable to the secondary IDE hard drive connector on your motherboard, making sure the dotted colored edge goes to pin number 1. You can also use an available connector on the cable already connected to your hard disk drive. Connect the other end of the ribbon cable to the data connector on the CD-ROM drive. If you have a sound card, connect the audio cable to CD audio in on the sound card. Connect the other end of the cable to the audio output connector on the CD-ROM drive. Locate a free multicolored power supply cable. Secure with 4 Phillips screws using a non-magnetic screwdriver only.
Unless your DVD drive comes in a kit with an interface card, you can install it the same way as the CD-ROM drive. Up until recently, the only drawback of the optical CD-ROM drive is that you could only read from it, hence the term read-only memory, ROM. Now that has all changed, with the addition of a CDR drive, short for compact disc recorder or writer. You can even purchase a CD rewrite drive, short for compact disc rewriter, which allows you to record and erase discs. Just recently introduced is the DVD-R drive, short for digital versatile disc recorder.
Replace the computer case cover and secure it with the screws you removed in step number 1 using a non-magnetic screwdriver only. With the completion of step number 8, installing the CD-ROM or DVD drive, your computer is now complete. Now you can go on to step number 9, connect external peripherals.
In this video, I have shown you step by step the process of creating your very own personal computer. Now you need a way to interact with it. The way you communicate with a computer is with a keyboard and a mouse. The computer then responds to you by the use of a video monitor. We call these devices external peripherals.
Let's start by connecting the monitor first. On the back of your computer, locate the video connector coming from the video card we installed earlier. Making sure that all components are disconnected from AC electrical power, connect the video cable from the monitor to the video connector on your computer. The connector will only fit one way. tighten the screws on the connector. Now it's time to connect the keyboard. Find the keyboard connector on your computer. It may be marked KB on the rear panel. There are two types of keyboard connectors. If your keyboard connector is different than the one on your computer, you will have to purchase an adapter plug. Insert the keyboard connector into the computer. The connectors are keyed so they can only go in one way. The last item to connect is the mouse. Locate the mouse connector on your computer. It will be near the keyboard connector. Insert the mouse connector into the computer. The connectors are keyed and can only go in one way. If you have a computer printer, you can connect it to the larger rectangular connector that may be marked LPT1 for line printer 1. Now connect the power cord. With the completion of step number 9, connecting external peripherals, your computer system is almost complete. We have one last step to complete it. Step number 10, configure the system BIOS.
You have come to the final step in assembling your computer system. Although your machine is physically complete, mentally it's like a newborn baby just waiting to learn. Before we teach or program the computer, we must first configure or update the system BIOS. The BIOS is the system's basic input-output software that is stored in the computer's flash memory chip. It is also referred to as the setup program.
Connect your computer and monitor into an AC outlet. Turn on your monitor first, then turn on your computer. When the computer completes its self-diagnostic test and all is well, it will display the message, "Press DEL to enter setup." At that point, press the DEL or delete key on your keyboard. If you receive an error message, depending on what type of error, go back and recheck. 1. Your motherboard connections. 2. The jumpers on your motherboard. 3. Your CPU and memory modules, making sure they're firmly seated. And 4. Your disk drive connections, including the jumpers on your hard disk drive.
If you have a jumperless motherboard and you receive a CPU error message, this can be corrected in the system BIOS or setup program.
After pressing the DEL or delete key, you will be in the main menu. If your CPU module was not correctly identified and you have a CPU option on a jumperless motherboard, you'll want to make sure that the speed of the CPU is correctly entered. Using the up, down, and arrow keys, you can select any option you want. There are instructions at the bottom of the screen for saving the information you enter. I recommend you follow the instructions in the manual that came with your motherboard for setting up the BIOS. In most cases, you'll just have to enter the date, time, and auto-detect your hard disk drive.
Once you're done with the BIOS, all you have to do is partition and format your hard disk drive and install the operating system. The operating system will be on floppy disks and/or CD-ROM disks. By inserting the operating system floppy disks in the computer and then powering up the system, you'll be allowed to partition and format your hard disk drive. Now, let's review what we've done in this video.
In step number 1, we opened the system case. In step number 2, we installed the power supply. In step number 3, we installed the motherboard. In step number 4, we installed the CPU and memory modules. In step number 5, we installed the expansion boards. In step number 6, we installed the hard disk drive. In step number 7, we installed the floppy disk and tape drive. In step number 8, we installed the CD-ROM or DVD drive. In step number 9, we connected external peripherals. And in our last step, number 10, we configured the system BIOS. By now you may be thinking, this is a lot of work. Why even bother when I could just go to the store and buy a computer completely assembled? That may be the easy and convenient way out. But here are some reasons to consider building or upgrading your own computer. Paying less money for the same computer. Selecting the parts and accessories you want and need, not what comes with it. Becoming more knowledgeable with installing or upgrading hardware. Getting away from high-pressure computer salespeople. Using the brand name parts that you prefer. And above all, having a feeling of self-satisfaction and accomplishment. Remember, this computer is for you. Don't settle for a cookie-cutter mold system. Design your own dream system.
Well, there you have it. 10 easy steps in building your very own personal computer. A computer you'll be proud to own and show off to everyone because you built it and saved a lot of money in the process. Once again, my name is Manuel Rose. Thanks for joining me and happy computing. Oh, and by the way, this video was edited on a computer we built.